All right, well, wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining us today for Walker's Legacy Global Entrepreneurship Week, where we will be hearing today from Biola Alabi, who is the managing partner of Biola Alabi Media. My name is Natalie Madeira Cofield, and I am the founder of Walker's Legacy. Founded in 2009 and named in honor of Madam C.J. Walker, Walker's Legacy was created with a mission to cultivate an ecosystem of access designed to inspire, equip, and engage a global network of professional and entrepreneurial women of color. You can learn more about our organization by visiting us online at www.walkerslegacy.com. Now, as many of you all may know, Global Entrepreneurship Week is really a celebration funded by the Kauffman Foundation to support and underwrite entrepreneurs around the world. And what we are doing today is celebrating and highlighting women across the world and understanding what their journey to entrepreneurship has been. And so I'm very excited to have Biola Alabi here with us. And if we could just give her a round of applause for joining us. Biola, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. So I'm going to read a little bit of her biography here, and then we'll get into a brief discussion about how she got her start, what the terrain is like in Lagos, Nigeria, and what other work she's doing around the world. Biola Alabi is the managing partner of Biola Alabi Media. The media icon heads a dynamic consultancy with experience in strategic consulting for pay entertainment, digital television, interactive television, and emerging entertainment distribution platforms. They service government, content creators, telecommunication industry, and investors in the converging media technology space. She is also the founder of www.groomingforgreatness.com, a leadership fellowship focused on developing the next generation of African leaders. Named one of the 20 youngest power women in Africa by Forbes magazine in 2012, a World Economic Fellow Young Global Leader in 2012, and CNBC Africa's AABLA West African Business Woman of the Year. For over 5 highly successful years, Biola Alabi held the high-profile position of Managing Director for Mnet Africa, part of the globally renowned Naspers Group. So I just have to do another round of applause for holding that title for 5 years.
Thank you.
So Biola, tell us a little bit about the story behind the story. Talk to us a little bit about your personal background and walk us through your professional achievements as well.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm such a huge fan of Madam C.J. Walker, and so to be part of this and what you've done with the Walker Legacy is so inspiring to women all over the world. So once again, congratulations and thank you for having me. A little bit about sort of my journey and my story is it actually has crossed continents, crossed different parts of the world. I was born in the U.S., but I was raised in Nigeria, and while I was in Nigeria, we experienced what many people in Nigeria in that era called the days of coup d'etats, which is basically we had many leaders over a very short period of time, and this sort of causes a lot of instability as you're growing because you constantly don't have any sense of what's going to happen next. You have no sense if schools are going to be closed, and so there was a lot of sort of coming after living in America growing up and then moving back to Nigeria as a child, having a lot of that instability. And then, but also getting through that and working with my family, worked through that. And then I migrated to the U.S. again to go to university and worked a little bit there and then had the opportunity to actually work in Asia as well. So I lived in Seoul, Korea for a couple of years, which was a very illuminating experience that I thoroughly enjoyed. But I think all these experiences, what they do by having different life experiences and different work experience, they sort of culminate in helping you structure who you are and who you become. And I think that's really where I get my sense of constantly learning, constantly improving myself, never taking advantage of any opportunity given. I always am grateful and really try to really grab opportunities as they come. People won't knock on your door to give you an opportunity. Sometimes you also have to knock down the door. And living in different elements have done that. But I got my start. I had been in marketing for many years. Got my start at Sesame Street, one of
Mm.
the longest street in the world. That's where I got my first start when it came to media, and I worked with them for six beautiful and amazing years. And then from there, I transitioned to actually moving back to Africa, moving back home, and then decided to settle in Nigeria, and I live in Lagos now. So that's a bit of my journey.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful journey. So talk to us a little bit about for that woman that says, I'd love to go abroad and do business or even just travel abroad.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a fear of the unknown. There's a fear of being in a different country or a different community or even working for a company that has a whole another type of corporate culture. Tell us a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about, through your global pursuits and your global experience, how you have been able to navigate that cross-cultural terrain.
I mean, there's obviously a cultural difference. You can't really deny that. So every time you get somewhere else, it's a new opportunity. But I've always approached these, and I would advise young women and women that are out there that are looking and exploring different opportunities to really take these as opportunities and challenges, which means wherever there's a challenge, there's a huge opportunity. There's a huge opportunity for you to learn about other people, a huge opportunity for you to learn about how to do businesses in different cultures and different countries. But also what we need to do as women, which women don't really do this, is give ourselves permission when we fail and forgive ourselves when we don't understand something. So one of the things I found out when I lived in Seoul was sort of the role of women and having to navigate that in the boardroom, having to navigate that in presentations. And also really trying to help people understand where I was coming from, which took a lot of patience. And sometimes, there were times where I felt like, oh my God, I hope I didn't jeopardize an opportunity for my company or for myself. And I think by sort of dialogue and also giving some people permission sometimes, because sometimes when we're in other countries, we can't really have it both ways, where we can't have sort of maybe what you're used to in America or what I'm used to in Nigeria. It's going to be very different in Korea. So I almost sort of gave myself I went with a very open mind, and my goal was to learn as much as I could about doing business in Asia, Asian culture, and really embrace it and almost take every day as sort of a challenge. And also at the end of the day, sort of always felt rewarded by the way I handled or navigated. And sometimes I didn't navigate those waters very well, but I also I learned how to give myself permission that I can always do better next time. So I think that's one of the things that women entrepreneurs need to do.
So talk to us a little bit also. I mean, Walker's Legacy is focused on the multicultural or woman of color, so to say. And some of the countries, again, that you're mentioning may be different in their reception of African or African American women. And I'd love to hear if you could share with us a little bit about your experience as being a leader and a woman of color in a leadership role in a foreign country.
Well, I mean, one of the things I learned very quickly is, and also I do a lot of traveling for all my jobs, and I've been traveling for many years now. And so, for example, in Asia, what I found was there's more of a quiet undertone. And at that time, I mean, there weren't just that many people of color in walking around the streets in Asia. So there would be people that would come up to me, grab my hair, grab my skin. There were some people that thought I was like, what's wrong? Why is your... And I mean, I always embrace it as curiosity. I mean, I think it's very easy to sort of get irritated, but I try to embrace it as curiosity. I mean, I remember I was once out in like a remote area in Korea, and young kids came up to me and asked me to sign because they thought I was Tony Braxton, and I thought I looked nothing like Tony Braxton. But I mean, you could either get offended or you could embrace it. And so I signed, and I said, from Biola, because you don't know me yet, but maybe one day you will. And so I think sometimes it's all about also how we respond to people. I think when we're positive, people pick up positive energy. I think if people come at you with negative energy and you respond with negative energy, that's what they're going to pick up. So and it wasn't always easy to be very positive. Sometimes I had to psych myself up to say, they don't know you, but you know who you are, and it's important for you to educate them about you. And in a way, I almost feel like an ambassador in some places, and I always feel like an ambassador And that is sometimes not a great responsibility to have, but I also have embraced it. And also, I try to use every opportunity to also teach people and also sort of enlighten them about my culture and our culture, because I always feel like I sort of go through being African, being Nigerian, and being African American. So I'm sort of like always straddling these worlds, and I always
Yeah.
use that opportunity to inform and educate people.
Yeah, that's good. So, you returned to Nigeria and have a company there. And I'd
Yes.
love if you could share with us a little bit about what the entrepreneurial scene looks like in Lagos, or just across the country there in Nigeria. For those women who are actually interested in doing business in Nigeria specifically, but maybe
Sure.
on the continent in general.
Sure. So, I mean, we just finished yesterday. We have one of our largest women conferences that really focuses on entrepreneurship and empowering businesswomen. We just wrapped that yesterday, so this is all fresh in my mind. I think one of the trends that we're seeing now in the African business space, especially for women, is how do we actually migrate women from small businesses into actually thinking bigger and large enterprises? So what happens and what we're finding, the more research we do, the more engagement we do, women are very comfortable with, oh, I just want to do this small. And then after a few years, they sort of don't get into that sort of like scaling. And so it's really how do we get women in more comfortable with scaling? And so that's really one way. Another huge opportunity where people are looking for international partners, people are looking for international co-founders, is around the technology space. So trying to find solutions to some of Africans' problems. So how can we use technology to solve some of our problems? How can we use digital technology? How can we use e-commerce? How can we solve issues around solar? I mean, energy and power is a huge issue for us. Connectivity, we're looking at, so technology has become really a hot button issue. Everyone is connected through a mobile phone, but we don't really have good connection. As you and I experienced some technical difficulties today. Broadband is really a hot button issue, and so any innovations around solar power, different ways for us to expand our broadband reach. I don't think it's just Nigeria. It's across the continent. I was in Ghana last week. This was the same issue that people are talking about. People want to be more connected, and right now we just don't have the broadband infrastructure across Africa to be connected. So anyone listening out there, there's huge opportunities in the tech space, in broadband and in digital technology. Reach out to your friends you went to university with, people you've known, and try to start a business. I mean, we're always looking for co-founders that are knowledgeable and have technical skills that can bring to the table. Because we understand the terrain, we understand the marketplace. So when we find a technical partner and we bring market knowledge, it's a very good marriage. And I think this is what we're looking for in international partners and investors.
Yes, investors are always important. So one of the things that I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about as well, and I can hear it through the passion and enthusiasm that you have about the opportunities that exist in Nigeria and then also throughout the continent, is dispelling people's myths about doing business in Africa. And I think, as someone who myself has traveled there many times and just sees the wealth of opportunities, particularly for women of color, African American women, to connect across the water with our brothers and sisters there and to really form strategic business partnerships, as you were just alluding to.
Yep.
If you could dispel one myth for our viewers today about doing business in Africa, what would that one myth be?
Wow, there's so many myths. So I think the number one myth is that it's dangerous. Do not believe what people are telling you about it being dangerous. Everywhere in the world is dangerous today. Paris is one of the most loved cities in the world, and look what happened. So the thing is that it is not dangerous to do business in Africa. They're honest people that you can do business in Africa. You can reach out to so many different organizations. They will screen people for you. They will engage you, and they will make sure that we bring people to the table that you could do business with. That's part of what my organization does. We work with clients all over the world, and I can tell you, I had a meeting this morning with a huge founder of one of the largest media companies in the U.S. They are a big investor here. So I don't want my sisters and brothers across the globe to be afraid to do business in Nigeria, to do business in Africa, because the people that you're sitting next to in the boardrooms, they're doing business with us. The people that you're watching on the news that are telling you it's dangerous, they're doing businesses with us. The U.S. government is one of the major trading partners of many countries in Africa. So please get on a plane, attend conferences in Africa. There are many conferences in Africa. This is a great way to start to network and to get to know people, and it creates a safe environment because the people that are organizing the conference have already created a lodging, they've created sessions. And Natalie, we would love to work with you, with our women organization, for you to bring a delegation of women next year to our women conference. I think this will be a great way of bridging that, and they can meet tons of entrepreneurs that are just really looking for different technical partners, and I think this is really the way. And sometimes it's not like, don't think technical like, oh, I have to be an engineer. Technical partners can literally be a company that is building a human resource technology that is specific to Nigeria, but they need human resource expertise. There could be people that are building enterprise software systems that need specific experience in it could even be in the beauty industry. I mean, the beauty industry here is booming. Imagine there are 180 million people living in Nigeria. So if you're into the Black beauty industry, you need to be doing business here. This is the largest population of Black people that can buy your products. You need to be here.
There, we heard it. Business opportunities abound.
As you can see, this is my passion, so I can go on.
No, it's good, and again, I think, just from my experiences on the continent, in South Africa, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in Nigeria, and the economic powerhouse that is Nigeria, right? Yes. There's a plethora of opportunities, and we want to make sure that they're formed through partnerships, right? Yes. And so this is a great way for, again, women who are in the U.S. to consider making the journey to Africa and looking for opportunities to partner with other women who are in leadership positions throughout the continent and specifically in Nigeria, and seeing if we can do business together. So I would love to take you up on that offer to bring a delegation of women from the U.S. To come over there. I think it's very important, and quite frankly, it's been something that I have been doing a lot of. So with that being said, one thing that I want to definitely give you an opportunity to do is share with us a little bit more about your organizations.
Will do. So Biola Alabi Media does two major things. We're an advisory group, and we're also a production company. So what we've done, we started as an advisory group, but because of so much of our knowledge and our expertise was in actually content creations, creating stories, changing the narrative about African culture and African food. I mean, one of the things we've decided to do is actually sort of turn the narrative on its head about Africa and hunger and poverty. And so we've just completed the production of a food show that actually celebrates the rich culture and textures of African food. So we've gone across different countries to actually bring people the beautiful culture of food. I think this narrative gets lost in the Western and European narrative when people talk about food and African food. And really what we want to do at some point is actually link some of African American food heritage with African food, so people actually know where black-eyed pea beans come from and why it's such a huge part of our culture, because we found in our show that it is something people eat on a regular basis. So that's something we're doing. We're creating television shows where we're trying to work with people like the Discovery Channel, the Food Network on that end. And then on the advisory side, we work with investors that are trying to invest in media, entertainment, and technical and digital companies. So really looking at convergence technologies. We're working with a couple of telecommunication providers. We're working with a couple of satellite companies, looking at across Africa, how they can actually get more people to connect to their satellite, to connect the world more with beautiful and amazing stories around video entertainment. We're also working with some people that are doing video on demand service. We're working with people developing YouTube channels and multi-channel networks. We want those things to have a global appeal so that you or anyone watching in the US can actually be able to engage and enjoy that content. So a lot of our current clients are investors. They're looking at different investments across the continent, and that's been exciting. We work with telcos, we work with government to advise them on how to build infrastructure around digital technology, around digital television. Those are sort of what we do, and so we've been it's been sometimes challenging, but it's been very exciting. And also, really one of the things is how do you scale and how quickly do you scale? But we have very big dreams and very big hopes, so we're going to go for it.
Yes, and I feel that you will definitely get there, and I'm sure anyone watching feels, again, all the passion and enthusiasm you have around entrepreneurship. Well,
Thank you.
listen, yes, it has been an honor and a privilege to interview you today. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts, but if you could give some of our viewers and women who will be watching at some point one key piece of advice about starting a business, whether it be at home or abroad, we'd love to hear your token of wisdom to share with the group here.
Great. I think actually my advice is actually to people that have ideas and people that are thinking of starting a business. Start now. If you don't start, your ideas will die with you. Start now. You just have no idea what type of legacy you can leave behind. Look at Madam C.J. Walker. She has left an amazing legacy behind. Start today. Share your ideas. Try to collaborate with people, partner with people. Don't let your ideas die with you. Your ideas are valid. They're worthy. Start your business now. Thank you, Natalie, for having me.
Wonderful. Well, we will give you a round of applause for that. I love the sound. They're so wonderful. So you heard it here, folks. We just had an opportunity to interview Biola Alabi, managing partner of Biola Alabi Media. Again, my name is Natalie Madeira-Cofield, and I'm the founder of Walker's Legacy. We're so excited to be connecting with women around the globe, particularly our African sisters, around what it means to start a business in foreign terrain and how we can partner with each other to build more entrepreneurial ecosystems at home and abroad. Join us online for future Hangouts hosted by our two new Hangout hosts, LaTroya Pierce and Darius Chisholm. And you can visit us at www.walkerslegacy.com. Thank you all so much for viewing, and we look forward to seeing you the next time.